Greetings. This is Diplomatic Corner from Now TV. Today we have a very distinguished guest. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Professor Brook Hailu. I'm the producer and director of Diplomatic Corner. Today I have a distinguished ambassador from Mexico, and he's none other than Ambassador Victor Treviño. Ambassador Treviño, welcome to our show. And thank you for accepting my request to interview you. Thank you for your time from your busy schedule. And I'm glad that it had finally worked, because we were trying to get hold to have the interview for a couple of months. Welcome, sir.
Masa Canalo, Professor Brook.
Danada. You are welcome. Thank you.
I'm very happy. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to this program that is related with diplomatic matters. Thank you.
Thank you. You are welcome. Allow me to say a few words to our audience as well. A few background and professional background and education of His Excellency Ambassador Victor Treviño, which is very, very long, very distinguished. He is Mexico's ambassador to Ethiopia, as well as to the African Union.
Yes.
On top of that, he also covers Djibouti, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, Somalia, and South Sudan. So his table is full, literally. So he represents all these countries, but he's a resident ambassador to Ethiopia and a non-resident to the others that I have indicated. He is Mexico's ambassador since August 2016. So he knows Ethiopia, I would say, not a bit, but more clearly. So, Mr. Ambassador, in regard to your background, you have started way back in the 80s, your diplomatic career. You were area director for Latin America and also for the Caribbean. You were also consul to the vice secretary for North America in the 90s. And then your stay in America with the key positions as consul general, deputy consul general, as main consul general in the following places. He was Mexico's consul general in Los Angeles, California. He moved to El Paso, Texas. Then he moved to Brownsville, Texas. Then he was in Phoenix, Arizona. He's an expert on border affairs and inter-border relations with the USA. He then moved to, he also covered Yuma and Tucson, Arizona as well. And from August 2013 to August 2016, he served as a DCM, meaning Deputy Head of Mission, to the Embassy of Mexico in Australia.
Yes.
Yes. And then, of course, his career brings him, as I already said, brings him to Ethiopia in August 2016. As to his educational background, he's a seasoned diplomat. He's a graduate of political science from the Autonomous Metropolitan University. He has also obtained a master's degree in higher command and national security at the Center for Advanced Naval Studies. And also has attended graduate studies in continental security at the Inter-American Defense College in Washington, D.C. So he was at the National Defense University, where, by the way, Your Excellency, I was honored and privileged to make on and off lectures as a guest lecturer in Washington, D.C. Your Excellency, also, what is in regard to his education, what we can say is that he has also taken courses in the Foreign Ministry for diplomats. He also attended the Rio Branco Institute in Brazil. And he's also an academic, not only a practitioner of politics and foreign policy, but a professor. He had also served many years as a professor in international relations and border affairs at the Autonomous University of Baja California, if I have pronounced it properly.
Yes.
In Mexicali.
The capital of Baja
California. Your Excellency is married and with two grown kids. Your Excellency, my first question will be, of course, is to start at the foundation, and that is, please take us back to the Ethio-Mexican diplomatic relations, and in connection with the bilateral relations between these two countries, which have got a very, very rich history. Their history goes back to thousands of years. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Brook. Well, it's a very easy question for me because I represent proud my country, but I'm also proud to be resident of this beautiful country, Ethiopia. I'm feeling home after 6 years, of course, and we found a very important and profound bonds between Ethiopia and Mexico. Ethiopia is the country for us most important. The first country that Mexico established relations in the whole continent was with Ethiopia in 1949.
Yeah, the first country.
Yeah, the first country in Africa. But our relations back before, and you know that we have some friends here related with the history between Ethiopia and Mexico in the 1930s as a country that was never colonized. You suffer an invasion of the Italian government under the rule of Mussolini. And at that time, before the United Nations, was the League of Nations. And Mexico was one of the few countries, 3 or 4 countries, to denounce and was against the invasion of Italy. But not just that. Also, the ambassador at that time discovered a plan to expel Ethiopia from the League of Nations. And Mexico speak out. And since then, we have that connection between Ethiopia and Mexico. We reached in 2019 70 years of diplomatic relations. This November, next month, we're going to reach 73. And we have a very important proof about our relation between these 70 years with different meetings, with different supports each other, but particularly we have here in the capital, diplomatic capital of Africa, a Mexico Square. We are very proud. And 4 years before, in 1954, when the visit of Emperor Haile Selassie to condecorate the former ambassador or the former president of Mexico that supported Ethiopia against this invasion that I mentioned before, he inaugurated Ethiopia roundabout in Mexico City. We have one of the metro, the subway station called Ethiopia, with a lion. With a lion. And we have like museum attached to the station that show the people, millions of people using the metro, where is Ethiopia? Because sometimes say, well, Africa. No. Ethiopia is in the Horn of Africa.
The place, the map itself.
What is the map? Yeah. What is the colors of the flag? And what are this history between two far countries, but very close in their beliefs, to be proud, to ask the world to have not intervention. The people, the self-determination of our people is the ruling in our relation. And well, since then, we have a very, very important milestones between our both countries. I'm very happy to representing my country in this friendly and important country in Africa.
It's very rich. The history is very rich.
Yes,
very rich. And also in our history, of course, people are proud, Ethiopians of Mexico's support. When, as you have explained, this machinations was discovered to expel Ethiopia against her will from the League of Nations. And it was Mexico who exposed that, and for that I think the Ethiopian people will always be thankful for your conviction and position based on principles. And also then the historical, the 1954 visit of Emperor Haile Selassie, the rest is history, as the saying goes. So it goes back a very, very long period. And also, working on that then, if I could follow up my question with, how do you see, as the ambassador of this big country, Mexico, in Ethiopia, can you describe to us the bilateral relations with the Ethiopian government, with the Ethiopian people, and the Ethiopian society as well?
Well, during this more than 70 years, we have different events, different support in terms of the United Nations in our candidacies. And even in the current situation here in Ethiopia, Mexico, according with the constitutional principles, we are supporting and respect the independence of Ethiopia. Mexico at this moment is part of the Security Council, and we present also the position of Ethiopia. We are very careful to respect what are the proper steps to have a peaceful resolution, because it's part also of our constitutional principles. But we have important programs. One of them that we are very, very proud is that we have the headquarters of the International Maize and Wheat Center are in Mexico. And one of the most important connections in terms of South-South cooperation, that is the rule between our cooperation between Ethiopia and Mexico, has to be with agriculture.
Yes.
And these headquarters, that are in Mexico, very close to Mexico City, in the city of Texcoco, they have 3 branches in Africa. The main in Africa is here.
In Addis.
In Addis. In the Ilri compound is Ilri and Simit. Simit. And Simit has another 2 branches in Africa, one in Zimbabwe and one in Kenya. That is an important connection because we document very frequently engineers in agriculture or technicians that they are going to Mexico for CIMIT, or we have programs between the Ministry of Agriculture of Ethiopia and Mexico. That is one of the most important things that we consider as in our bilateral relations, to share the best practices to provide food to our people. That is without any condition. It's just South-South cooperation. And well, it's something that that I want to highlight in our relation. Of course, in political matters, we already have 2 political mechanisms. We cover all the spectrum in our relation. And of course, we are planning to enhance with trade. We started 2 years ago with Ethiopian, that is the only African airline that is landing in Mexico. It's a cargo flight, twice per week. And of course, our relation and trade are increasing. But my dream is that in the future we have passengers from Mexico to come into the beautiful historical sites that Ethiopia has to offer, and also the Ethiopians be in a position to visit my country, the beaches,
beautiful
like Acapulco. There was a very, very famous soap opera here in Ethiopia, and also Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, and not just that, our colonial sites. Of course, our archaeological sites in the state of Yucatan. Yucatan and Oaxaca and Teotihuacan, very close to Mexico City. And of course, Mexico City, that is very interesting city. That is one of my dreams.
I do hope
to enhance that relation. That is just Just something that I want to mention, but we are in contact. Even our ministers of foreign affairs, they are in contact by video conference. When this pandemic of COVID-19 happened, the Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mekonnen, had a different conversation with my Minister of Foreign Affairs, Marcelo Ebrard, and they exchanged the political situation in our countries and also to enhance our relation in the multilateral forum.
Yes, I mean, there is a South-South dimension of international politics.
Yes.
South-South cooperation.
South-South cooperation.
In trade, commerce, in politics, tourism, even education and the like. And definitely, as a member, currently as a member of the Security Council, of course, the issue of Ethiopia has been brought 11 times, if not more, in the Security Council. And the position of Ethiopia has always been, and I think Ethiopians would appreciate the position of Mexico, like Japan, like India and other countries, in which is non-interference in the internal affairs of states. This is fundamental in international law and international politics. And thank you for clearly sharing that with us. If we move to, say, education, you know, I remember even at one time, 40 years ago, the Minister of Health was educated in Mexico. He was a very famous guy. You know, literally all Ethiopians know him. How about in the educational front? Is there opportunities? Do you have Ethiopian researchers, PhD, masters at that level or undergraduate level?
Yeah, we start with that great tradition. You mentioned it very, very well. This doctor was, I think, the first cardiologist.
Yes.
And he studied in the military school in Mexico in the 50s. Yes. Also, one of the first, and is alive also, scholarship was to the engineer, an agronomist engineer, that later on, Atto Gilma, he was the head of the tea and coffee authority. And he studied in Mexico.
Okay.
And he's still alive. And just 2 years ago, he presented a book about the coffee in Ethiopia.
I see.
With in his alma mater in Mexico. In Mexico, and he is able to speak, of course, in Spanish. That is the foundation of our scholarships, and we still have it. We still have it, doctors and postdoctoral studies. Every year we present what will be the convocatory for the scholarships in Mexico, and we have several students in PhD on postdoctoral studies in Mexico. More focus in agriculture because that is the main venue of our relation between our countries.
If I continue on the economic front, Your Excellency, Mexico is as far as empirical evidence shows us, it's true, is the 11th, I believe, largest economy in the world. It has much to offer. Our audience want to share with our audience, and I'll just say a few words, is that Mexico is one of the strongest partners of the USA, for instance.
It's the first trading partner
yes.
at that moment. No, it's not China.
Yes,
in terms of exchange now, we have
billions,
a million exchange every minute at the border. And we have more trade than China.
Yes.
And well, we have this, they call NAFTA, now they change the name. Yeah. We call in Spanish TEMEC. TEMEC, it's the trade, Mexico, United States and Canada. And we have that relation with the US. And even now that we are very excited about the World Cup that will be in Qatar, the three countries, Canada, US, and Mexico, will going to participate. But in the next World Cup, for the first time, we're going to share
Okay.
a World Cup between North America.
I see.
That will be Canada, US, and Mexico. We organize the next World Cup.
Wonderful.
That is something that share
Yeah.
what is the status of our relationship. That doesn't mean that don't have disagreements,
Yes.
because we need to understand that they are very powerful, and we are a country that has, as you mentioned, we are part of the G20, the 20 more advanced economies, but it's a very great difference in terms of the power of the economy of US, and we suffer. That's why we are very, very close to Ethiopia. In the 19th century, we lost part of our territory, half of our territory with US. That's why in our constitution, no intervention of in domestic affairs are very important and are part of our constitution, Article 89.
Interesting. Interesting. And there is a whole lot of history between the USA and Mexico as well.
Yeah, it's very important. But now, and just mentioned it yesterday, the 5th of October, our Minister of Foreign Affairs presented his program of activities to the Senate. And one of the big announcements for us is that he said that it's time to enhance our relation with the whole African continent. And you know why? It's because we are here in Ethiopia.
It's the center.
And we realize the importance of this relation with Ethiopian and with the 55 countries that are represented at the African Union.
Exactly, exactly. Because there is the European African Summit, there is the French African Summit, the German African Summit, and also the Chinese Summit as well with African countries. In Mexico, Ethiopia is the right place, I think, to start this kinds of collaboration with all African countries, because Africa is also on the move. Africa is growing. Africa needs so many things, and Mexico, I think, can supply this knowledge transfer to Ethiopia as well as other African countries. When we talk about the car industry, millions of cars are produced and manufactured in Mexico and then sold in America. Computer industries, service industries, agricultural products, transportation sector.
And also the border, Professor.
The border.
We have, in kilometers, we have more than 3,200 of border
with
US and with the exchange
Estados Unidos,
with the Estados Unidos, and that is something that is an opportunity. We need to pass the page that we suffered this situation in the 19th century. Now we are in other world. We need to be partners, allies, and friends. But also, we decide our own principles, our own priorities, and one of our priorities is to diversify the markets. And the trade is important. We diversify with our Latin American friends, neighbors, the Pacific Alliance that we have with Chile, Peru, Colombia, and also with the European countries, particularly in our roots with Spain, with the United Kingdom, and with the countries of ASEAN in the Pacific.
Singapore,
and also Australia. I was in Australia, and for us it's also a very important relation. But it's time to discover that the young population of the world are in Africa, and we need to have a good relation, respectful relations, and to support our brothers of Africa.
I agree, based on mutual interest. Absolutely.
This is our mutual interest, of course.
And by the way, for our listeners, the economy of Mexico is 2.3 trillion economy. It's not just the smallest, one of the largest in the world. Yes. Great. Now, moving into the next question is, if you could just briefly, share with us Mexico's, the pillars of Mexico's foreign and economic policy in regard to generally to the world.
Well, I mentioned it a little bit before about this article 89 of our Constitution. Our principles more important are not intervention in the political affairs of the other country, but also peaceful resolutions of the conflicts and equality, legal equality of the countries that are very important, and cooperation for development. And that principles, at this moment, are the pillars of our relation with the world. We have friendly relations with the countries. We try to mediate. That is the participation that Mexico has at this moment at the Security Council. And we try to enhance the relation. We are suffering, of course, this situation in Europe. And we try to be a global participant, promote peace, to promote the good relation. And that is the pillars about our relation. Of course, with the times, we enhance some things. For example, we are very enhance the gender equality matters. We have a feminist foreign policy. We are in the process to have more ministers, like countries like here, that we learn with the presence here, like Rwanda, for example, like Ethiopia, that you have,
is a woman president.
you have the first president of Africa, that is the Excellency Madame Hailu. And also, I have very good opportunity to talk with the ministers, like the Minister of Tourism or the Minister of Women and Child Affairs. And well, we need to be in that path, and we learn from the world. That is important, the equality, gender equality matters. And one of the most important things that is for us in terms of foreign policy, and we are sharing here with Ethiopia and the African countries, is the illicit trade of guns that we suffer. That we suffer a lot, because sometimes they say, well, the Mexico is under the invasion of narcos, no? But the problem is that it's a phenomenon of the drugs. It's a market.
There is a market.
It's a market. And we have also consumers, but we have a lot of guns. Most of the guns coming from US. And the cartels, they have better guns than our police. And that is not fair. We need to share the responsibility. And we are working here with the African Union. We are supporting this team of the 2 years ago of the African Union that is Silence the Guns. And we present a suit to not US, but 5 factories in US that they are exported through third persons illegally guns to Mexico. And we sued already that companies. It's not a suit against the US government. Even some district attorneys in US are supporting our position because we need to face the phenomenon together. And that was one of the main priorities of my government, the fight against illicit trade of guns. And that happened here with the terrorism, with the Al-Shabaab.
Exactly.
And that's why we need to work together.
That's my next question.
Okay.
If you continue with that, how far is Mexico involved, the challenge of terrorism in a globalized world.
Yes, of
What's
course.
your position, and how far do you engage, to mitigate and to fight this terrorism? So that was my next question. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, well, we shared this suit. We presented this information we shared with the 55 countries of the African Union. We had also a meeting with the Peace and Security Commissioner at the African Union. We presented, of course, to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia. And we consider that with the situation that are facing here in the African continent, particularly now in the Horn of Africa, Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, DRC. We need to work together because the guns has to be regulated. It's not possible that the terrorism, they have access to better guns to the armies or to the police.
More powerful guns.
It's very powerful. And we are very key about that. I just want to remember the one diplomat of Mexico that won the Peace Nobel Prize. That was the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Alfonso Garcia Robles, in the 80s, because he promoted desnuclearization of the whole Americas. Okay? And, well, that is part of our tradition. It's a Tlatelolco Treaty. And we are supporting, of course, that situation that just happened with North Korea, for example. We are partners with other countries, with different regions that are good partners of Ethiopia, by the way. MICTA countries. M, acronym means Mexico, Indonesia, C is Korea, Turkey, or Turkey now, Turkey,
Turkey
in Spanish, and Australia. And we present some statements together at the African Union, and we are working together. The 5 countries, we are part of the G20, by the way. Now, the chair of the G20 is Indonesia. And we are working together in terms of trade, economy, but also security.
Peace and security.
Peace and security. And that is part of our involvement. The multilateralism is very important for us because we are not a country that presents any threat. All the contrary, we try to promote peace and we try to have good allies in terms of that, like MICTA or like the Pacific Alliance that I mentioned. And here, we are part of the steering committee of the African Union and United Nations group of friends. Yes, just in a few days, they're going to be in New York and meetings between United Nations and the chairs of the African Union. And it's something that we are promoting, of course.
And which will bring me to the question on you are the permanent representative to the African Union. So that will that demands on your time. So you have to maybe, of course, attend meetings.
As an observer. We are not permanent representatives, but we try to present statements with other countries to enhance our cooperation. One of the best things that we had very recently, we support the dialogue between African continent and the American, particularly Latin American country, to CELAC. The CELAC is the group of Latin American and Caribbean countries community. And we start with some dialogue.
Already it has started.
Yeah, we started. It's like in English say baby steps. But it's a different relation. It's not a relation that with the powerful countries that they make donations. No, we share the experience. South-South cooperation is still in that matter, but also to support each other in our candidacies. Yeah, we take note that more than 25% of the votes at the United Nations organizations coming from African countries.
Yes.
And we need to take
Seriously.
in consideration the 2063 agenda of Africa in our interventions. And that is the rule for Mexico in the Security Council from the beginning. And for that reason also we have here a group that called E10. E10 are the 10 countries that are non-permanent members. And we discussed with the A3, the three countries of Africa, the Security Council that at this moment is Kenya, Ghana, and Gabon.
Correct.
And we take all the consideration of Africa first before they present it to the Security Council. And that's the way to be in connection. And that is part about our relation with the African Union, very respectful. And today we're going to celebrate 20 years of the African Union. This is the African Union Day, the Africa Day.
Exactly.
And well, we present our congratulations also to the 55 countries represented at the African Union.
That's a great strategy, working together. Formulating ideas, making a stand, and based on issues and based on needs, and supporting solidarity with each other. Thank you for very well eloquently explaining that. Let me take you back to the economic factor. Mexico is rich, not only tourism but also energy, oil. 1.9, I believe, million barrels at least minimum is being, in every day. Mexico is taking out oil, producing oil. And what is fascinating about Mexico, as far as I know from my readings, is, if I'm not wrong, there is a national oil company.
Pemex,
and it is used for the common benefit and common welfare of the entire country. Am I right?
Yes, of course.
What for our audience, what are the reasons behind it? Not privatize it, but make it under the disposal of for the public welfare of the Mexican people, using this God-given, nature-given resource.
Well, the same president that was a visionary of Mexico, the same president Lázaro Cárdenas, that supported in the 1930s, Ethiopia against the invasion of Italy, was the same president that expropriated the oil companies that taken advantage of our resources. And since then, the oil are just for Mexicans. We have Pemex to the benefit of our population. That is, we need to be aware, of course, that we need to be in a position to have our own resources for our people, but also in solidarity, we support particularly the countries that are close in geographically, like the Latin American countries. Okay? And we need to be, of course, in a position to exchange in the future for the clean energies.
Yes.
But now we have that resource, we need to administer it properly. And that's why the president, the current president López Obrador, is working on one of the main projects that we have now is a refinery, two dos bocas, they call. Two mouths.
Two mouths, I see.
Okay.
I see, boca.
But it's very important in the southeast of Mexico.
I see. And this energy plays, this means income, revenue, running the industry of Mexico, it plays a very good role, I think. Having oil as a resource for a country is a blessing. And when appropriately used, and that's what Mexico is trying to do. Thank you for explaining that. When we talk about, say, people are on the move always, on the move. because of work opportunities. You know, you find Ethiopians in America. You know, they went for education, some went for different reasons. And also, we find also Hispanics or Mexican origin, about 33.6 million. I wanted just to share this with the audience to point out how the depth, how deep the relation between American people and the Mexican people are. Well, starting from California, Arizona, it goes on Texas, etc. You know, you find millions of Mexicans and Americans, you know, interacting with each other. When we talk about Los Angeles, where Your Excellency you served for a number of years, Spanish is spoken, or in Texas or in Texas as well. If you could just you know, share this people-to-people relations, which is part of public diplomacy as well. You know, Mexicans and Americans, they live side by side together, and the influence and the gift of Mexicans to America, you know, burritos, you know, tacos, etc., etc. If you could share some of these memories that you have and the real facts.
Yes, of course. For us, it's very important the Mexican communities abroad.
Yeah.
It's something that we found that also the government of Ethiopia at this time, they are taking care about the diaspora. We share some experience with the government of Ethiopia in regards to the our diaspora. We have different programs with our diaspora. And you said correctly, we have around 35 Mexicans from Mexican origin or with dual nationality or Mexican Americans, Mexican American people. At the border, they call the third nation. Because the people at the border, in the border cities, on both sides, they say, for example, on the American side, in the US side, they say, we have more relation here with our neighbors than with the policies of Washington.
I see.
But the same, our people in the big cities of Tijuana, Ciudad Juárez, Matamoros, they say, we have more relations with the other side, with our neighbors on the other side, than Mexico City. That is something that we need to find, to realize. It's very, very unique. And that have our own cultural expressions. You say burrito. The burrito is something that is called Tex-Mex some of the time. The burrito born in Mexico, but the American burrito is they put cheese, cheddar cheese, and it's a big thing, no? But that is part of the interaction. We have millions of crossings every day between our countries, and well, we have that we call the third nation. And regarding the Spanish, in some cities in US, they speak more Spanish than English.
Exactly.
The Spanish at this moment is the second native language in the world after the Chinese or Mandarin in terms of native language. In Mexico City is the first in the world, but the second city in the world with more speaking Spanish people is Los Angeles.
The city of angels.
It's not Guadalajara that is the second largest in Mexico, Monterrey. It's Los Angeles. Because we have a big community of Mexicans, and of course, Latin Americans, people from El Salvador, Central America, Latin America, Guatemala, etc. And we are very proud to have that connection. And we bring also to the UNECA, United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, every year, the Spanish Language Day. That we share with some countries here, like Equatorial Guinea. That is Spanish. They speak Spanish, Espanol. And we are very proud to support Equatorial Guinea and the African Union, that they recognized 2 years ago Spanish as a working language of the African Union.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, that is something that we want to share.
Yeah. So, this is also the cultural factor of give and take in life.
Yes.
Food becomes even a culture. Music becomes a culture. And the way of life, the way you dress, becomes a culture. And Mexico is footprint is in America. And in that large border area, I'm always amazed when I visit that, how people are close, how the two sides give back and forth, how people move by the millions every day. So that itself is quite an experience.
Yeah, related to the gastronomic matters,
Yes.
while we talk about the relation between particularly the border cities, between US and Mexico. But let me say something, Professor, about our relation with far countries, very far, that we are geographically, but we are very close, Ethiopia and Mexico.
Okay.
We found, after 6 years here, I love the chiro. Chiro Tagabino. I love the Doro wet, no? The injera, of course.
Yeah. Wonderful.
And why?
Yeah.
It's because I found that we have similarities.
Peas and chickpeas and everything.
Yes. First thing, the spicy food is almost the same. You have green chili.
Yeah.
We have the chiro, for example, that is made but with the different species and chili. And we have in Mexico mole. One of the other important similarities. The people of Ethiopia, the main cereal is the teff. And they eat with the hands the injera.
We do, yeah.
In Mexico,
The same thing. Yeah.
the same thing with the tacos
Yeah.
or burritos.
True.
We
Very
eat
true.
with the hand. Spicy food.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
culturally,
Yes. Yes.
we share with our family,
True.
with the close friends.
Very true.
We are not thinking to accumulate things.
True.
We want to share
Very
in this world the best, the
Exactly.
food,
Exactly.
the time
Yes.
with our relatives and friends.
Wonderful.
And it's something that I found that are very similar.
Yes.
Another similarity, we are very proud people.
Yes.
You are in Africa,
Indeed.
you are proud about your gastronomy,
Indeed.
and we are proud about our gastronomy. You are proud of our heritage sites that you have in Ethiopia, and we are proud of our heritage sites that we have in Mexico.
Cinco de Mayo, for example, things like that.
Yes, of course. And well, it's something that I consider very, very, very similar. And we are very religious people.
Yes. Very
Here
good.
and in Mexico, we have the Virgin of Guadalupe, for example.
Yes.
And,
Yes. The same. Yeah.
and well, St. George and all the history about the mezcal that just happened.
Mezcal, yes.
Yes, and
And
art.
Your Excellency, I must confess, you remind me when we talk about the food and the people, the culture, the religious festivities that I have observed. I had the opportunity to visit Mexico as well. And also there is a family touch in that my sister-in-law is Mexican.
Oh,
Yes, my younger brother's wife, they meet in Los Angeles, California. And I had the opportunity to visit them. They had lived in Acapulco as well as in Cancun. The family, the love, the family, the touch, the warmth is similar like in Ethiopia. Loving together, working together, eating together, helping each other. The family bond is very strong.
family values are
Values is
very
strong.
important. Yeah.
So personal testimony, allow me to share that with you. So it's part of my family as well. Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm feeling home here.
Yes. Thank you, Your Excellency. So, the last question will be what I would like to ask you is there anything that you'd like to share? And also, do you speak some Amharic? We talked about a bit of shuro, by the way, that that you like Ethiopian food as well.
Yes.
But if you are asked, about memories of Ethiopia, what you were shocked or what you were surprised in your 6-year stay in Ethiopia, what would they be?
Well, the first thing is when you get the confidence, because it's not easy. When you have the confidence of the Ethiopian people, they invite you. I had the opportunity to be with families, Ethiopian families, no diplomatic or no official matters, in very important events, particularly during the Malcolm, during the New Year's. And Melkom Adi Samet, I say, by the way, Melkom Adi Samet to our audience. And of course, the mezcal that just happened to was an extraordinary experience with my neighbors. I share with my neighbors that we put the fire of the demera together and share the food together. Yes. And that is one of the most important experiences, also with my family, with my kids. And visit your beautiful country. And I had the opportunity to be in the Simil Mountains, for example, Lalibela, Gondar, Bahardar, different places. Even Awasa, that I really love it.
We're a bit close now in the south.
The lake, and one of the main. No, we are talking about the importance of the historical sites.
You have been everywhere in Ethiopia.
And everywhere in Ethiopia, and
the Renaissance Dam.
The Renaissance Dam, and I spent the night there, and we've realized the importance of that resources for Ethiopia. I remember that when I the plane landing in Assosa, that is the nearest airport from there, and after that we take in the four-wheel drive to reach the dam. I noticed with sad that ladies, women, carrying the water of the Nile River kilometers, and say, why they don't have the opportunity to use their resources? Of course, they are in the good path, and it's important that, and also to have electricity, etc. You have the right to use your resources, and of course, I know that Ethiopia is very open to share the resources with the other river basin countries,
states,
and also the other countries that need electricity. And I think it's a big project, and I congratulate the people and government of Ethiopia for that, because I know that they make, like, we have here a lottery tickets, and everybody is contributing to that important project. And it's one of the main lessons for me, the solidarity between the Ethiopian people. I hope in the near future also to have that solidarity in unity. And in Ethiopia, and that I think will be the best for you, for your country, and I really mention it. I love this country, I love your people, and for me it's a pleasure to serve my country in this friendly Ethiopia.
Your Excellency, Ambassador Victor Treviño, it was a pleasure having you, really, and I wish you success, really. Many more, to register more and more success. Your job as a diplomat, you are the face of Mexico. You are appointed by the President, His Excellency the President. You represent each and every Mexican. It's like building a bridge, bringing two peoples, not only the governments, but bringing the two peoples' cultures, economies, trade, commerce, everything together. And I wish you, allow me to wish you success in your further stay in Ethiopia. And I do hope to see you on another occasion. We will stay in touch.
Of course.
And thank you for accepting my request to interview you. If you would like to say in Amharic goodbye.
Well, it was a conjo interview.
Okay.
Salam.
Salam l'Ethiopia.
Amasakanala.
Namasagunale. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was today's interview with His Excellency, the Ambassador of Mexico to Ethiopia, Ambassador Victor Treviño. We had a great time with him. And until we see us next time, it's me, Professor Brook Hailu, Director and Producer of Diplomatic Corner from Nahu TV. I bid farewell leave from you. Thank you until next time. Goodbye.